Hello everyone, SirMonkeySuit Ozabi here, back again with Hunter x Hunter. We are on the penultimate episode of 147, and in the last episode, we had Gon and Jean actually talk, and it seems like going forward in the story, even though there's only 2 episodes left of the show, that it's something that they can sort of, they can like have that fatherly and son relationship now. It doesn't seem like Jean's gonna just, wander off and get lost again and whatnot. I mean, he is a hunter after all, and he says that he's busy and whatnot. So, I feel like, I don't know, maybe it is something that he can just immediately like go off into the wilderness and like people are wondering where he is. But I don't think it's a case of we've gotten past that sort of overarching story now where Gon, from the very beginning of the show, has finally met his dad, and I feel like that's something that the relationship can sort of like come and go in the show now, and it's not something that Gon is searching for. So yeah, that was cool to see, and yeah, so Gon knows about Kite. He got told by Jean that there was a sort of separate custom number kind of thing that would only come out if Kite was basically like if he truly did not want to die, then this number would appear, and that would be the number that he got when he faced off against Neferpito, which allowed him to sort of survive in this other little girl's body. Even though I think that the logical explanation that I came up with of his brain being eaten by the Queen anyway, and Meruem coming out of incubation early, it kind of worked anyway. But I don't know. Maybe we'll get some more information on why this. Maybe it just made sure that it was, like that it was going to happen regardless. This whole number thing. But hopefully we'll get some more information on it. I mean, I suppose this is where Gon's going right now to go see Kite. So we're going to get this in at least the last 2 episodes. Hopefully we do, because that'll be a nice thing to wrap up as well. And yeah, we also had the whole thing with Killua and Aluka, which people said that she something goes by Nanaka. So yeah, that's good to know. So I'm not calling her something and it being completely confusing. So Nanaka, yeah, which I believe is the Japanese word for something. So yeah, it kind of works, doesn't it? I mean, it sounds like a name, doesn't it? So Nanaka, yeah. So Nanaka, Killua basically said that there was going to be no more wishes for anybody else, which I don't know how true that really is, if it is the case or whatnot, because I don't know. I mean, it was kind of like a command, but it also felt like he was asking as well. I don't know. It's a weird thing with that, and I don't know if that would ever happen going forward, but we'll see. I mean, with Illumi and everything in these last few episodes, it feels like that would be a good thing to go into, but for like a future arc, but who knows. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it, right? Yeah, I don't think there's anything else to really talk about. I feel like Gon is going to go see Kite right now, so hopefully we get some of that. But yeah, I don't think there's anything else to really talk about. So we're going to get into this episode and see what we get. So without further ado, let's go. Okay, episode 147. I wrote down practically nothing because I feel like nothing really needed to be written down, I suppose. The whole koala thing, like with that dude, I thought when it was still I don't know, maybe like 3/4 through his like whole monologue, I thought they were telling us his story, but I thought there may have been like something bigger it was referencing, or like if it was referencing the story in like a sort of meta kind of way, where like the cycle would keep repeating. It just kind of made me wonder, like, because, I've talked about this before in some episodes and, with some people about how, how the show is, like, coming to an end, but it obviously hasn't finished in terms of the, like, there's still story being written for it. But I wonder if that's why they purposefully, like, I was thinking, because obviously it's the end now, pretty much, that maybe that's what it was referencing in a way, because it's like, well, we've kind of gone through the whole story from then to now with the overarching thing of him finding his dad and everything, that from now on it would just be a cycle that repeats kind of thing, I feel like. I mean, that may be true, because otherwise I don't know why we spent so much time with him. Like him repeating himself a bit. Like I understand like repeating cycle, so I guess it works in that kind of context. Um, I suppose. And I mean, at the end, it all just tied up with him just kind of, trying to tell that person, like, that you're the one that I killed, and he's trying to. It's like that thing. I don't know if any of you lot have got like been in a situation like where you're sorry for something, so you keep like explaining yourself and keep trying to over explain yourself or the reasons of why you're sorry, but like I feel like that's what it was, because obviously Kite has taken over that girl's body in a way. Now it looks like, from what I can tell, he doesn't have any real animalistic features, so I guess that's tied within this number thing, because otherwise the possibility of him coming out looking more like an ant, or like having those kind of animal characteristics which all the other ants have. I feel like that number must have kept that from happening, or at least it's tied into the reason why. I guess it could also be with tied into the whole thing of being underdeveloped beforehand. Like he came out the incubation stage early because Meruem came out early as well, so it could be that, and therefore the process didn't. I don't know. Maybe it takes the human first, and then applies the animal characteristics in whatever order or whatever. Like if they ate specifically a human, I don't know if it takes the most prominent first, and then takes like the lesser prominent afterwards, and then applies it and mushes them all together, and then creates a completely different looking ant. So maybe there's something with that, but yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I mean that went on for a while. The koala guy explained himself. I mean, I don't really know how much we needed that. I would have preferred if it didn't feature so much of that, because I feel like actually this episode missed out some things that I would have liked to have seen. Like I would have liked to have seen Gon and Killua meet up again afterwards. I mean, I guess I have to assume that they did see each other before he went to the election hall, because Killua was still there, wasn't he? He was still within that building, so I assume they did see each other then. It's just something I would have liked to have seen, I suppose. But there was they kind of all got caught up. Like they found each other. Well, they like basically met up with each other and then went to this place where the World Tree is. They had all of that time together, and then it comes out of Killua saying, "Oh, by the way, this is my sister." And like, how long did it take you to get from there? I mean, he said the middle of the city center, so I don't know. Is it a different city that the World Tree's in? They went over a mountain to get there, so I feel like, I don't know. I feel like I'd rather have had like you could have still had the koala thing in there, but bloody hell, you could have chopped it down a bit to fit like that kind of stuff in. I mean, that's just me personally. Like, I mean, the only thing that I can, that's why I feel like the koala part of this episode was meant to invoke something a bit more meta and maybe a sort of analogy for the story as a whole. But it would make sense why it takes so long for it's Togashi, right, to write, because it's coming up with new ways to take the story forward without it feeling like it's sort of repeating and doing the whole thing again. Making something that's new and refreshing, as opposed to I mean, that's not something I truly worry about, but I guess if because this story's writing is that good, that that's something you have to kind of retain with the show, or with the story as a whole, because if it does drop off, you'll notice a significant difference in that. So I guess it makes sense, especially for that Togashi and whatnot. But I don't know. That's just entirely dependent on if that is what the koala scene's all about. But yeah. I also wrote down, like, is it all Kite as well? I feel like it could be, because I'm trying to remember back because it's been so long since we've actually had Kite as a character. So I'm trying to remember like all of his characteristics and his personality and stuff. And I guess in a way, it just sounds like a bit more evil coming from the little girl. You know, when he's like, you'll say sorry to me every day and whatnot. I mean, I suppose with Kite being the way that he is, maybe he does see it as like he's not just punishing him for what he did as a koala, because even though the koala's like guy said, oh, like, I know that I did it wrong, I killed the girl instead of killing the people chasing after her, and therefore I was looking out for myself more than anyone, even though in a way it's still it's still like a better thing to do. Like he killed her under the pretense of, you know, so you wouldn't have to suffer, right? So it's still a good thing that he did, but he could have done better, I suppose, as the idea. But I think maybe what Kite was sort of alluding to, while like why he's being punished, even though it kind of works in a way for him, like that's something the koala actually wants, he actually wants, because I feel like repeating the cycle and whatnot, and like not knowing, you know, just basically, you know, going from one day to the next, maybe by having this sort of goal, this thing that he does, that it gives him some purpose. So, you know, that there is that, and being under Kite's the best, you know, probably the best mentor you can have. So, or the best, you know, person to be under. So, it kind of all works. But I think it was, he was punishing him not for like the stuff that he did as a koala, but more like the stuff before that, where like he was actually just killing people, and it wasn't for any, you know, it wasn't because he felt sympathy for the person or anything like that. He was, you know, he was following orders and just killing people just because. So, you know, there's so maybe it's, you know, tied with that. But yeah, it went into the whole, like, you know, how things are tied to like the human soul and stuff. And if you go in deep enough, I'm sure there was something that there is something like scientific. I don't like, it could not be totally fact, but I think there's like a theory that if you become so small that you go into, like, you know, in between molecules and things like that, and literally become so small that you're able to fit, like, you know, essentially phase through matter and stuff like that, that eventually you will be, it will almost look like the universe again. You know what I mean? It's like quantum physics and stuff to do with that. Like, if you go so deep and so small into a like confined area, it's almost like there's another universe within there. So everything repeats itself. Like, you just keep going through, and same as going the other way. So the idea is that we as humans understand that we're on Earth. We're humans. We live on Earth. We live in a solar system. We live in a galaxy. The galaxy lives in a universe. That if you were to get so big, you would just end up being a minute little fucking atomic little speck within the DNA of some other living creature. That's the idea. I think that's what he was like getting at a bit in there. You know, but I don't really know how much that really impacts it impacts his sort of perspective on things. I don't really think it impacts the story as a whole, though. Especially now, considering where we've finished with the Chimera and stuff. So, you know, I mean, they're still around and everything, so I guess there is some relevance, but, you know, whatever. But yeah, Kite left off with Gun and whatnot, saying that they're friends now. So yeah, they're no longer the mentor and student that they were beforehand, seeing is that, you know, Gun actually surpassed Kite for a certain while, even though the sacrifice was huge. You know, but yeah, so that's cool. So they can sort of just, you know, again, like, they're all split up at this point. Like, everybody's split up. Nobody's together anymore. You know what I mean? Like, even go and kill her at the end, man. Yeah, I mean, that's a thing. That's yeah. I could feel it like well enough for me to cry, but I was like, no, I'm not gonna do it. I can't. I can't. Don't make me. So yeah, they end up splitting up. So yeah, everyone's gone. Gun is going off to see his dad, which will be the end of the last episode. Oh, which will be the last episode, I should say. Killua's going off to protect Aluka and whatnot and see the world and stuff. I imagine the reason why he's doing that is obviously taking Aluka around the world to actually see some stuff, because she's been locked up for so long. You know, she hasn't really seen it. So there's that. Kurapika's out. God knows what the fuck he's doing. I imagine it's something to do with the Phantom Troop. And then Leorio's wherever right now. Don't know what he's doing. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Is like with Killua, it was always going on Killua. You know, Kurapika and Leorio went away for a while, came back, went away, came back. You know, so that's some. It was always those two, the broship that they had. Like immediately they clicked. Like as soon as they met, immediately in the Hunter tunnel. You know, the Hunter exam tunnel. Like they were there all the way. So yeah, it's a big thing. I mean, he's the one that stayed with them through the tournament thing, the big tower. While the other two went to, you know, Leorio went to study. Kurapika went to, you know, become a bounty hunter, right? Essentially, that's what he wanted to do. That ended up, yeah, tying into the Nostralia family and everything like that. But yeah, I mean, that's all I've got for this episode. So thank you everyone for watching. Hit in the description below, I've linked to certain things. One of them is the Discord, so you can get yourself over there. And I also have a Patreon page as well. So if you do want to support me on Patreon, that'd be very much appreciated. There is a bunch of different tiers and rewards there, depending on how much you want to support me with. So there's the early access tier for $5 a month. That gives you access to shows a week early. I was doing 4 episodes of this, but of course I finished it all now, so it doesn't really matter. However, the new shows that are taking over will be in early access as well, so obviously you can make use of that. Of course, you'll find out what the next show is. Well, you'll already have known it by now, to be fair, so there's no point in me even saying this, because by the time this comes out on YouTube for the general public, God knows that those shows will probably be finished. So, never mind, just disregard what I'm saying. Full length there for $10 a month, that gives you access to the full length, uncut reaction, as opposed to the 10 minutes that you usually get. Of course, for Hunter x Hunter, it doesn't matter because it's full length anyway. And then there are other tiers where you can pay to have a certain show reacted to. So if you want me to react to a show, go have a look at those tiers and see what they offer. But that's all I got. So thank you for watching, I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.